For 4 centuries, the skies of a single world became a brutal battleground between a tyrannical dark-side monarchy inside a walled fortress and a desperate faction of exiled outcasts who learned to break and ride the fiercest monsters in the galaxy. This is the tragic history of the Beast Wars of Onderon, a localized civil war that ultimately cracked open the dark side nexus that sparked the Great Sith War. Greetings, my fellow scruffy-looking Nerf Herders, and welcome back to the Infernal Brotherhood. For 400 years, the citizens of Onderon were locked in a merciless conflict known as the Beast Wars. It was a war born from an impossible planetary phenomenon, sustained by a cruel royal decree, and fought with primitive blades, armored fortresses, and flying monsters. Today we open the Holocron on the ancient conflict that proved to the Jedi that sometimes the true monsters aren't the beasts in the jungle, but the monarchs on the throne. To understand the origins of the Beast Wars, you have to understand the bizarre, volatile astronomy of the Onderon system. Onderon orbits in tandem with its feral jungle moon, Zun. Once every local year, the orbits of these two celestial bodies draw so remarkably close that their atmospheres literally touch, creating a temporary planetary oxygen bridge across the vacuum of space. Centuries ago, a terrifying species of massive flying reptilian apex predators native to Zun, known as Drexels, discovered this atmospheric corridor. They began migrating across the bridge to hunt on the oxygen-rich surface of Onderon. Faced with an annual onslaught of flying monsters, the human settlers of Onderon had to adapt or die. They pooled their resources to construct Iziz, a colossal, heavily fortified, walled city-state capable of repelling the Drexels and keeping the population safe from the nightmare wilderness. For a time, Iziz was a beacon of survival. But everything changed when the fallen Jedi Freedon Nad arrived. Nad overthrew the planet's existing monarchs, declaring himself king, and infected the royal bloodline with centuries of Sith sorcery. To maintain his absolute grip on power, Nad instituted a draconian legal system. Any criminal caught within the walls of Iziz was sentenced to immediate, permanent exile, cast out of the armored gates and left to be ripped apart by the feral predators of the wilderness. Because the royal house was deeply steeped in the dark side, criminal quickly became a catch-all term for political dissidents, scholars, and anyone who dared to question the Sith monarchy. The tyrants of Iziz expected the outcasts to die in the mud. Instead, the exiles did something the monarchy never anticipated. They survived. Isolated in the brutal jungles, these outcasts studied the behaviors of Onderon's native fauna. Using courage, the Force, and sheer instinct, they learned to tame and break the savage creatures of the wildlands, including the colossal armored bomas and the flying Drexels themselves. No longer helpless victims, these outcasts organized into a highly disciplined tribal society known as the Beast Riders. Bound by a deep hatred for the Sith royalty that abandoned them, the Beast Riders weaponized their monsters, launching devastating aerial and ground assaults against the walls of Iziz. For 400 years, neither the technology of the city nor the beasts of the jungle could secure a decisive victory. It was a bloody stalemate that drained the world's soul. By the year 4000 BBY, the conflict reached a catastrophic tipping point. The Force ghost of Freedon Nad manifested to the current ruler, Queen Aminoa, warning her that an imminent, all-out war with the Beast Riders would completely destroy her kingdom. Terrified, Aminoa did the unthinkable. She reached out to the Galactic Republic and begged the Jedi Order for military aid to crush the savage outcasts. Jedi Master Arca Jeth was assigned as the watchman of the system, and he sent his premier Padawans, Tot Danita, Qel-Droma, and Qel-Droma, to mediate the dispute. But the moment the young Jedi stepped into Queen Aminoa's grand throne room, chaos erupted. A strike team of Beast Riders executed a daring commando-style raid, breaching the palace windows and kidnapping the queen's daughter, Princess Galia, before vanishing back into the clouds. Qel-Droma and his companions pursued the kidnappers deep into the dangerous wildlands. Thanks to Taut Danita's rare ability to telepathically soothe and tame a wild boma, the Jedi successfully navigated the jungle and tracked the princess to the massive cliffside stronghold of the legendary Beast Lord, Modon Kira. The Jedi burst into the fortress, lightsabers ignited, ready for a rescue operation, only to freeze in utter shock. They hadn't interrupted a hostage situation, they had walked right into a magnificent wedding banquet. Princess Galia was happily celebrating her marriage to Modon's son, Oron Kira. Galia revealed the horrifying truth to the Jedi. She had willingly orchestrated her own kidnapping to escape the oppressive dark side miasma of her mother's court. Modon Kira laid bare the history of the world, explaining that the Beast Riders weren't savages, but the descendants of the political exiles fighting against the centuries-old Sith cult. Realizing they had been lied to by the Queen, the Jedi agreed to form an alliance with the Kiras. Galia, Oron, and the Padawans returned to Iziz to demand a peaceful transition of power, with the understanding that if the negotiations failed, Modon Kira would launch the entire Beast Rider army against the city. When the group confronted Queen Aminoa in the throne room, the mask of the monarchy completely shattered. Refusing to surrender her throne to an outcast alliance, Aminoa tapped directly into the dark side nexus of Freed and Nad, unleashing a wave of pure, crushing dark energy that forced the Jedi to retreat into the palace's hidden corridors. Oron Kira immediately signaled her father via comlink. Negotiations had failed. What followed was the legendary Battle of Iziz. Thousands of Beast Lords rode their armored monsters and flying Drexels directly into the teeth of Iziz's heavy artillery. Inside the palace, a frantic, bloody melee erupted between the Padawans and the fanatical Royal Guard. The fighting was brutal. During the clash, a Royal Guard wielding a specialized halberd completely severed Qel-Droma's arm, a limb that would later be replaced by the mechanical arm of an XT-6 droid. Just as Aminoa began using Sith sorcery to turn the tide and crush the attackers, Master Arca Jeth arrived on the battlefield. Channeling his legendary mastery of Jedi battle meditation, Arca instantly revitalized the flagging morale of the Beast Riders while broadcasting absolute dread into the hearts of the royal forces. The defense crumbled, and Iziz fell. The Jedi and the young newlyweds pursued Queen Aminoa down into the deepest sub-level catacombs of the palace, straight into the obsidian tomb of Freed and Nad. As Aminoa attempted to summon the dead Sith's power one last time, Arca Jeth unleashed a binding concentrated wave of pure light side energy. The sheer contrast destroyed Aminoa instantly, freeing Iziz from a half-millennium of dark side enslavement. With Aminoa's demise, the Beast Wars officially ended in late 4000 BBY. Galia and Oron Kira stood together on the balcony, their marriage permanently uniting the technology of Iziz with the wild strength of the Beast Riders. But the tragedy of the Beast Wars is that its ending sowed the seeds for a galaxy-spanning nightmare. In an attempt to permanently cleanse the planet, Arca Jeth ordered Nad and Aminoa's sarcophagi to be moved to the moon of Zun. This forced relocation triggered a violent uprising by the hidden Nadist cult led by Aminoa's crippled husband, King Amin. It was during this ensuing chaos that two visiting nobles from the Empress Teta system, Seital and Alima Cato, stole the Sith secrets that allowed them to form the Krath cult and launch the Krath Holy Crusade. The Beast Wars were over, but the Great Sith War had just begun. What do you think of the Jedi Order's handling of the Onderon situation? Did the initial blindness to the royal family's dark side nature doom the planet to further suffering? Or was the unification of Iziz and the Beast Riders the best possible outcome? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you to creator patrons Aaron Hardy and D. Robert Handy, producer patron David Galindo, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. Until we convene again, my fellow scruffy-looking Nerf Herders, may the Force be with you.